Good morning, children. So today you will learn about pollination. Okay. So what is mean by pollination? Pollination means it is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma. That means how the male or a sex organ goes to the female sex organ. That is known as pollination. Okay. So pollination means it is the transfer of pollen grains. The pollen grains contains the male gametes. Okay, pollen grains from anther, because they are present in anther, to the stigma. To the stigma. Okay, that is known as pollination. And one who help for pollination, that means those who help for pollination are known as pollinators. Okay, what they are? Pollinators. The pollinators, they are the agents. We can call them as agents of pollination. Okay, so how they are, what are the different agents? First, if we are saying, we can say wind. Okay, wind is an agent of pollination. How? The wind when it moves, okay, that time the pollen grains from one plant fall into the stigma of another plant. Then it occurs. Okay, that time it goes down and fertilization occurs. So this way wind helps. Okay, so for mainly the wind helps in wind. Examples in grass. Okay, grass, pines. There you can see that for pollination, wind only helps. Okay, and then second one we can say water. How water helps for pollination? Because see, the aquatic plants, the aquatic plants lives on the water only, right? So there, when the water moves, carries the current of the water moves from moving from one place to another place, that time they carry this pollen grains from one plant to another plant. Then also it reaches and it takes the pollination. So here in mostly you can see in the water ciliary or in the water aquatic plants, you can see that pollination occurs through water. And then third, if we are saying insects. Okay, insects like butterflies, some other kinds of bees, they suck the nectar from the flowers, right? So these also, when from one flower to another flower they moves, that time when if it is sit on the one flower, then the pollen grains stick on the legs or the wings of the insects. Then from one flower to another flower they go for sucking the nectar. That time from their body it falls on the another flower. So so many pollen grains will be there absorbed, and all of them it will not fall onto the another flower's stigma. Some of them will go fall in, and some from that also only few will goes inside. Okay, so the insects here you can say that the orchids, okay, in hibiscus and in orchids you can see this kind of, that means this insects only help for pollination. And then fourth one, that is known as the some animals or some birds, they help for pollination. Such kinds of that pollination is known as zoophily. What it is? Zoophily. Okay, zoo means animals, right? So here animals or some birds, they help. The hummingbird and some monkeys, they help for this pollination. Okay, zoophily. Here how it happens? See, the birds, they also carry the things from the that means carrying the fruits or flowers. They sit on the branches of the trees. That time sometimes it touch on its body. And monkey, the monkeys also move from one branch to another branch. They are the aerial animals, right? So they, and not only that, they are the arboreals, right? So arboreals means from the trees to trees. So by in their bodies also it may touch, and that way they help for pollination. Okay, so understood this one? These are the agents of pollination. So we can call it them as pollinators. Now I will explain what are the different types of pollination. Okay, now see, types of pollination. For this, actually types, if we are saying two types of pollinations. One, it is self-pollination. Okay, self-pollination, and another one is the cross-pollination. Cross. I now see self. Self means themselves. It means the flower, the both the sex organs, male and female, present in the same flower. Okay, so that means the see, for example, I will show here. Okay, this is the female organ, right? Female organ, here the X. Okay, and then here from side you can see the male organ, stamen. Okay, the stamen, right? This is the pistil, and this is the stamen. Now the stamen contains, this is what the anther, and the anther contains here pollen grains, you can see. Okay, what is present here in this? Pollen grains. The pollen grains contains the male gametes. Now see, by wind or by water or by the insects, how the self-pollination taken place. This is the same flower only. Okay, so say I have just drawn only this male and female portion, so that it will be very clear to you how this is the male organ and this is the female organ. Now from here to here it transfer. Okay, by wind, if it moves, it moves with the air and fall into the stigma. Then they here. That means this is the self-pollination. From the same flower only, from the male organ, it goes to the female organ. So this is the self-pollination. Now see how cross-pollination. Cross-pollination means in this, the that is the pollen grains from the anther of one flower goes into the stigma of another flower, not on the same flower, onto the another flower, but it will be the same kind only. Okay, that you have to remember, same kind only. If it is hibiscus plant, then hibiscus plants, if it is moving, then it should be in the hibiscus plants. That may be in any other variety, but hibiscus only it should be. Okay, but if it is not to the rose plant, then it will not work. If in the garden means so many plants will be together, right? Then when the wind moves, all these pollen grains mix up and goes. And if it fall onto the another flower also, there will not be any fertilization, because they are totally different. Okay, so what happens in the cross pollination, the same way I am explaining through this. Here how it happens. Now see, this is the stigma, right? And here it is the you can see the stamen. I am only one I am drawing. Okay, this is the stamen, and here it contains the pollen grains, but it is not falling here. Then what happens? See, it is the another plant. Okay, here it is, there will be the another one. Okay, so see, here also the stamen, right? Now this when the wind moves, that with the pollinators, the pollen grains from this flower of the flower, but it is of the one plant, fall onto the flower of another plant. Here it is falling into the stigma of another plant. There it is going. So it means another plant or another flower. That means cross pollination. It is crossing. From here to here it is passing. That is cross. Here it is from the same flower. Both are there. From the same flower, the pollen grains are falling into the same flower's stigma. That also. But here from one flower, one plant, okay, to it is the second plant. So here it is passing. Okay, that only. Otherwise, from here, this pollen grains fall onto this stigma. That way also it may happen. That is cross pollination. Okay, this only pollination, that types of pollination, self in the same flower, but cross means with the another flower. Okay, so understood this one. Thank you, children.